let's see if the Baltimore Orioles can improve, as 55.5 is the over-under on the Baltimore Orioles, and I would suggest that I'm going to go over on that. That's pretty bad, especially if Mookie Betts is traded out of the American League East. I'd probably say that 55.5 is something that they could do. The catcher for the Baltimore Orioles is 24-year-old Chance Sisco, who didn't make a season debut last year until June. The Orioles wanted to go with an older, more established catching combination, and then wound up hitting .210. Did hit 8 home runs in 198 plate appearances, so it did really, jump off the map, as they say. But he can hit you .240. He can hit you about 10 to 15 home runs. He's not a zero. He is a 24-year-old good-looking catcher, so I'm going with Chance Sisco. I would take him for $1 if I'm in an AL-only league. Okay, 31% strikeout rate suggests that his batting average probably won't get much better than .240 at the most. So that's Chance Sisco at first base. At catcher, Chris Davis. Nothing you can say about Chris Davis except Ryan Mountcastle. And, boy, this Chris Davis thing has really come to hurt him. But Ryan Mountcastle is a kid that I saw in the Arizona Fall League. I saw him play third base, looked a little too big for the position, 6'3", 200 pounds, sort of a string bean, 22 years old. But I will tell you, they tried to trade him, but they couldn't trade him to the National League because he's much more of a DH, okay? So Baltimore, the Orioles, will try to play him at first base, if not DH, and the word is that he can probably do it. He'll be given regular playing time, but he's got some very big deficiencies defensively. Below average in left field, below average at third base, and sometimes when you move a player around for defensive purposes, it's bound to hurt his offense. He hit .314 with 25 homers in AAA Norfolk. Speculation that he could make his debut last year, but he did not. They kept him down in the minors, not just because of his hitting, but because of the fact that he really didn't have a position. So we'll see what happens with this kid, Ryan Mountcastle. But yes, he's a hitter. He's definitely a hitter. Okay, and we're going to have to really watch and see what he does. I would be very careful to draft him for this year. Very careful. Don't know how much playing time he's going to get until they establish a position for him. Moving right along, over at second base for the Orioles, a team that will have Hanser Alberto, who did very well last year against left-handed pitching. Hanser Alberto, against left-handed pitching, he was one of the top left-handed. He was one of the top hitters against left-handed pitchers in Major League Baseball. He was claimed off waivers 4 times before he ended up in Baltimore, and he did pretty well. He hit .305 with 12 homers to hit .290 with 12 to 15 homers. Would not be too bad, okay? He only had 127 starts. He played between second and first base. His success, as I mentioned, against lefties, he hit close to 400 in 227 plate appearances. So write it down. Anytime you're playing a DFS, if Baltimore's going against the lefty, Hanser Alberto has to be in your lineup. He only hit .238 against right-handed pitchers, but sensational against the lefties. At shortstop, Julio Iglesias is the shortstop. Richie Martin will be backing him up. Iglesias, a tremendous fielder. When I saw him as a youngster in the Arizona Fall League, he put on a show playing shortstop. The batting coach tried to hit a ball past him, and he covered the whole second base, third base area, couldn't get a ball past him. Rio Ruiz. And, young players, so I'm going to try to tell you. I'm trying on all of these team things. There are certain players that we all know. They could be either better or worse. But neither the legend or anybody else can tell you that right now with any honesty. I mean, who knows? But there are some players that you don't know about. And those are the ones that I'm giving you a little heads up. Ruiz, who played last year, nice hitter with a little pop. I would say, so I'm just trying to figure it out now. Rio Ruiz, in my opinion, is going to give you a 240 bat. It seems like every Oriole is going to hit you 240. He'll probably hit you about 10 home runs. Nothing great here. He hit 12 home runs last year, but Renato Nunez is also a third baseman, and I wonder how much playing time he will get. Now, Ruiz could play either first or third. He doesn't hit for enough power to handle either spot full time, so his expected stats were in the bottom 15th percentile last season, and he really shouldn't see any time against lefty pitchers. He enjoys hitting in Camden Yards, that's for sure. So he's more of a guy that you pick up during the season if you have an injury, but he's designated on the Orioles depth charts as a potential third baseman. Anthony Santander, Austin Hayes, Trey Mancini, Renato Nunez is liable to hit you 25 home runs. Santander is somebody that I saw in Arizona, and he was okay, but he didn't really jump off the page. Santander is not somebody that jumped off the page. And I'll give you my projections on him. Anthony Santander, in my opinion, is going to hit you maybe 20 home runs. He may hit you 250. About 70 RBIs where he may bat in the order. He hit 20 home runs last year. I don't see much of an improvement. He didn't come up until June of last year. He started 90-something games, 20 home runs for the Orioles. The juice ball. I think he'll be one of the players affected by the juice ball. So he doesn't walk a lot at all. And there may be some limited room for improvement. Scouts really say he's not a very good defender, raw power, but that's about it. He's got a strikeout rate of about 30%. So now Austin Hayes. Now here's a guy that I really have appreciated for a couple of years, but he's been so injured. 260, 21 home runs. I'm a little disappointed with the fact that from what I've heard, he's got tremendous speed, but he doesn't really use it. 6 feet, 200 pounds. His value has really peaked, though. That's the whole thing. He had a monster year in 2017. He's like Jurickson Profar. When he sat in the when you're buying a car and he sat in the dealership, he was worth $30,000. As soon as he came out, he's worth $20,000. So Austin Hayes, not somebody that I would jump up and down over, because I don't think his stolen base potential is there. I don't think he's going to give you anything spectacular. Trey Mancini, 25 home runs, that we know. The pitching staff, you can't say anything. John Means was and Keegan Aiken. Those are the two lefties in the rotation. Means was good last year, man. I mean, he was good. The question is, can he do anything like he did last year? Good left-handed pitcher. Give you about a 3.8 ERA, a 1.2 whip, 155 strikeouts, something like that. He came into camp as a relief pitcher, moved into the rotation, and made himself pretty dependable. He won 12 games on a team that won 54 with a 3.70 ERA and a 1 whip and 27 starts. And he had shoulder and bicep problems. Keep in mind, I expect a regression here. I mean, I think the Orioles will win more than 55 games, but I'm not looking for any one player to really jump off the page on this Baltimore team. As far as Keegan Aiken goes, again, nothing special. When you're drafting these guys, they're even risky to draft in only leagues. But Keegan Aiken's got some potential, okay? So I would say that for Keegan Aiken, you're probably looking for, let me say, is a lefty, 6 feet, all right? He advanced to AAA last year. He was just added to the roster. I don't even say you're going to draft him. Okay, let's just let him sit for a while. As far as the closer goes, you got Michael Givens as the closer, and reports are he could be and will be traded as soon as some team has desperate need, signed a 1-year deal. He's a dominant fly ball pitcher. So, look, if he gets you 15 saves, but his whip will be close to 4, so you won't get any benefit there. The guy that I'm looking for as a potential breakout in the bullpen could be Tanner Scott. Now, this kid has got a big name. He was supposed to be something, but they didn't know if he would be a starter or if he would be a closer. Now, he had 23 strikeouts in 7 innings early in the year. But, look, he was just very hard to tell if he's going to be in the rotation, probably coming out of the bullpen. So he may have some closer ability. Adley Rutzman, the catcher, 21 years old, potential star, cornerstone of the franchise, okay? So just remember his name a little too soon. I don't expect him up this year. He was the first overall pick in the draft from Oregon State. So he's the catcher. Grayson Rodriguez, good-looking pitcher, is Grayson Rodriguez. He was drafted number 11 overall, 19, so you won't see him soon. There's not anybody really other than Mountcastle and Austin Hayes that I expect to be seen this year. Dean Kramer, pitched in AAA last year, had a 3.7 ERA. Strikeout percentage, not great, 26%. So there's really nobody that is going to jump off the page. And then you have Yusniel Diaz, who was another one of the centerpieces in the Machado deal. But he's always injured. Always injured. Okay, he's a well-known prospect. Okay, but unfortunately, the injuries and mediocre production have really lowered his value at all. He had 261, 11 home runs, didn't steal any bases in the minor leagues last year in Double-A. And that should just about do it for the Baltimore Orioles. Sorry to say, nothing exciting.